People are talking about a backup dancer and saying that this is confirming V and his orientation. We also have the K-media coming out to talk about V and some apparent mistreatment. And then we have a post related to the internal documents from HYBE that is coming out. Hey Dumplings, it's David Disci. Let's get into it. There is a document and post that has been trending about some of the alleged awful things that the label has done. And if you're not aware of what's going on, there is currently a lawsuit within the label and of course a lot of the internal documents and audits that have to go on during the legal session were all released to the public and people were able to see exactly what might be going on. Also keep in mind that some of these things are a language barrier, so what one thing might mean in a different language like Korean and then interpreted directly in English could mean something completely different. Now the community already dislikes the label a lot, so they're going to take this as the opportunity to misinterpret and misrepresent things, maybe on purpose, just to make the label look worse than it is. Because I see this all the time, that the public tends to misinterpret what's actually going on. And when I read into things or research it, I'm like, oh wow, this is not at all what's happening. So I definitely want to talk about at least what I actually think is happening. One of the first things that was listed in this bullet point that I definitely want to talk about is this idea that apparently the label overstocks with other artists, but does not overstock with the BTS members, and specifically V, saying that V had over 800,000 sales within his first week, and the label very quickly sold out and then found it really hard to get it back in stock again. The label, I believe personally, doesn't manufacture the albums or that sort of stuff. I don't think they have a factory. I think that is done by a third party, so that can take a little bit of extra time as that third party could be closed, that third party could be backed up on orders. There's so many different things and that is just my assumption. I don't know 100% if that's true, but the idea of the label overstocking for other artists is a very interesting idea, because how can it be translated from Korean to English could also mean that there's just a lot of albums left over and there's a lot of excess albums that the label is storing. So that could likely mean that those other artists don't usually sell out of the normal amount that the label might order. So let's say, for example, the label orders 100,000 albums for each of their artists. If some of those artists don't sell out those albums, then there would be an excess of it, while someone like V might sell out of that very quickly, and then there might not be enough. So this to me isn't the label trying to purposely reduce the amount of sales that V gets. The belief that the label has also failed to take legal action on several of the people that are leaving really negative and bad comments is also an interesting theory. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and them failing to do so could mean that they actually tried and failed versus them not trying to do anything at all. You can't really blame the label if they did try to take action, but then they just failed in doing so because the law wasn't on their side or the argument didn't hold up in court. It is very difficult to prove a defamation case. It is not a matter of if they wrote a bad comment, and if so, they should then be sued. It's a matter of if that bad comment actually caused a monetary loss to the company, which is so hard to prove. Because if the defendant were to say, I didn't cause that monetary loss for my comments, the company was already going down, or that time when the company lost money, it's because of something else that was happening around the same time that I wrote that comment, then the label can't further take action. At the end of the day, the people writing these comments are not famous. They're not people who, if they were to leave a comment, would hold this huge, tremendous amount of weight that it without a doubt would cause monetary damage to the label. So yeah, it is very difficult to prove. There's other comments about staff and people that have targeted the BTS members. This is just potentially bad apples in the label, if that's true. So we can't really blame the entirety of the company. That is going to happen with any company. This also goes for the specific staff members that have been confirmed to want to leave negative comments or are trying to attack the boys. These are just bad apples, and they will exist in every company. I've addressed the situation with Sojang before, where people believe that the label has a membership or whatever. Just to quickly reiterate, the alleged membership could also be interpreted to mean subscription, meaning that the label was allegedly subscribed to the channel. And even if this was true, and it did 100% happen, the label can be subscribed just to keep tabs on a specific channel to make sure that they know what rumors are being said. Other rumors, such as the label halting legal action, are actually not entirely true either. The label, I don't believe, were the ones that took legal action. I believe it was JK and V themselves. I read somewhere that ultimately they stopped their legal action defamation because they didn't have enough evidence to pursue the case. As I mentioned just earlier, a defamation case is a lot more difficult to prove than just negative comments. The last point was about fan shipping culture and then promoting stuff like that. This is something that every label does, and so I don't even necessarily believe that should be on the list for mistreatment. That is just something that every artist has to deal with. Again, these comments are alleged. I don't even know if what they say is actually happening. There is also this rumor going around right now that the label is using V as a relief pitcher. I don't entirely know what that means and if the word pitcher is referring to baseball, but I think the point of this comment, from what I gather on Twitter or whatever, was that apparently K-media sites were saying that the label was using V as a way to divert attention from other scandals and other scandals from various different artists, not just BTS. I cannot verify or confirm this. I don't actually know if this is true or not. It doesn't necessarily sound true, but I don't know what this type of situation is. You're going to have to talk to a person who handles PR, specifically a person who handles PR for a company, to know if this is actually something that a company does. But more than not, these types of assumptions are often proven to be conspiratorial rather than actually true. I also couldn't find the specific K-media site that had said this. I googled the entire phrase. I went through several different articles. I saw people talking about how a K-media site used this phrase, specifically relief pitcher, but again, could not find the actual article. People were running with this idea to say that the Korean media sites have basically said, yes, this is true, V is mistreated and V deserves an apology from the label or blah, blah, blah. But again, I haven't seen that article. There's also been posts coming out that I think are very interesting, where some people have been taking moments from a former live stream that V did and saying that he is attracted to a specific type of man. Now, any person being attracted to any type of person, totally 100% possible. I've never diminished the possibility of anything like this happening. People are on a spectrum, and also when there are 7 boys, it's very hard to believe statistically that all 7 boys would be 100% straight. However, some of the comments or some of the associations that people make are a bit outlandish. For example, there was one live stream in which V was trying to learn the dance, or was kind of showing off the dance a little bit, or a song or a music video that he liked. I believe around the time he did this, this particular music video just came out. It's called Back on 74 by Jungle, and it showcases one of the dancers doing a dance. V wanted to learn or copy the dance a little bit, and he decided to show his process of learning the dance and doing it on camera a little bit. Someone then took these moments together, put them side by side, and basically said that V likely prefers muscular but more straightforward type of men. This comment implies that the dancer is also part of the LGBT community. It also implies that V has a very specific type and he prefers this type of body and attitude. To assume that someone has a preference for a specific type of man just because they like one piece of work, that is very interesting to me, because anyone can like a specific piece of art and anyone could admire it, want to do it, and think that they could do it really well even. It doesn't mean that they are romantically attracted to the people in the video. I don't know if 100% this is coming from a place of personal experience either, whether these people who say this are only watching the K-pop idol or the new movie or whatever that they watch, where they're attracted to the person on camera, and they only watch that, and they won't watch or be obsessed with the thing unless they're attracted to the person they're watching. Of course, I think that that is not a great way to go about life. I think it's not a great way to enjoy content, because there are going to be so many good shows, good songs, and so many different things to enjoy where you shouldn't be attracted to the people on camera. For example, Stranger Things, and you would be missing out on so much of a good story and TV series if you were just looking for content where you're attracted to the person on camera. Now also, I have looked into the specific dancers, and I don't personally believe that the dancer has outwardly said what part of the community they're part of. So I don't like that assumption either. Other people were then saying that it was clear that V is with Jennie, and so a lot of people are now going on the side of that. He might like both sides, men and women, and these assumptions are wild. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks, just leave a comment right here. Love you, bye.